The Galactic Council had ruled the stars for thousands of years. It was the most powerful government in the known universe, made up of hundreds of alien races. They had seen countless worlds rise and fall under their rule, but one world still stood outside their control: Earth. For decades, humanity had been watched from afar. Drones, spies, and envoys had been sent to study them. The reports were strange and worrying. Humans were unpredictable. They fought wars among themselves, but united when threatened. They were creative, emotional, and far too ambitious. The Council called them a young species, but in secret, many feared what they might become. One morning in the year 2483, the Galactic Council finally decided it was time. They would no longer allow humanity to grow unchecked. The Council Supreme gathered inside the Great Chamber on Solaris Prime, a colossal hall carved from silver and light, large enough to hold 10,000 beings. Every seat was filled. Representatives from the greatest empires whispered among themselves. "The humans must join us," said the Vothar delegate, his voice sharp as metal. "They use unregistered weapons, colonize forbidden worlds, and ignore the laws of the stars." "They are dangerous," hissed another voice. "If left alone, they will challenge the Council itself." The Chancellor of the Council, a tall creature with eyes like molten gold, raised her hand. "Then let it be decided," she declared. "Earth will submit to the authority of the Galactic Council. They will pay tribute like all others. Their armies will disband. Their technology will be inspected. Their leaders will kneel." 1,000 voices agreed in unison. The order was final. The message was sent across the galaxy, an official demand for submission. On Earth, the message arrived in the middle of the night. In the skies above New Geneva, the stars flickered as the Council's holographic broadcast appeared. Every nation, every colony, every ship received it at once. A tall alien figure appeared in shimmering blue light, speaking in a calm but commanding tone. "People of Earth, the Galactic Council offers you peace, protection, and inclusion in the greater unity of the stars. In return, you will surrender your weapons, your fleets, and your sovereignty. You have 7 solar days to respond. Refusal will be seen as rebellion, and rebellion will not be tolerated." For a moment there was silence. The entire planet listened. Cities stopped. Factories froze. Children stared at the glowing sky. Then came panic. News channels exploded with debates. Some leaders called for surrender, saying humanity couldn't fight the power of 1,000 worlds. Others shouted for defiance. The United Nations Emergency Council was called into session that same night, deep underground in a bunker beneath Geneva. Inside the room, there were no smiles. The faces of the world's top leaders glowed under the dim light of screens, showing alien fleets orbiting nearby systems. General Elias Ward, commander of Earth Defense, stood at the table. "If we surrender, we lose everything. Freedom, identity, the future of our children." President Lin of the Asian Federation leaned forward. "And if we don't, we die." "Maybe," Ward said quietly. "But I'd rather die free than live as property." A scientist named Dr. Aria Voss spoke next. She had spent her life studying alien transmissions. "The Council thinks they can scare us into submission. Every species they've met has bowed. But humans, we don't work like that." The room fell silent again. Outside, satellites tracked massive ships moving closer to the edge of the solar system. In orbit, the Council's envoy ship awaited Earth's reply. It was a massive vessel shaped like a black diamond, with thousands of eyes glowing along its hull. Inside, alien diplomats monitored every human communication. They expected chaos. They expected begging. "Primitive species always resist," said one alien officer. "Then they realize resistance is useless." The Council ambassador smiled. "They will learn quickly. They always do." But Earth did not send an answer that night, or the next. The Council began to grow impatient. On the 3rd day they transmitted again, this time with a warning. "Your silence is dangerous. Submission ensures survival. Rebellion brings extinction." Still, Earth said nothing. The humans seemed to have vanished behind their own network of secrecy. Satellites that once sent signals went dark. Space traffic stopped. The Council began to suspect they were preparing for war. On the 6th day, the Chancellor herself appeared on the broadcast, her golden eyes burning with authority. "This is your final chance. Speak your answer now." Will Earth bow to the Council's law? Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, inside a hidden research base, humanity's leaders gathered one last time. Around a circular table, soldiers, scientists, and diplomats sat together in silence. The world's AI defense system, named Argus, flickered to life in the center of the room. "Message ready for transmission," it said in a calm voice. "Awaiting confirmation." General Ward looked around the table. "This is it. We either kneel or we stand." President Lin nodded slowly. "We stand." Dr. Voss smiled faintly. "Then let them hear us." Argus activated the transmission link. Across the galaxy, millions of receivers opened, waiting for Earth's answer. There was no speech, no long explanation, just a single word spoken clearly in every known language. "No." And with that, the signal ended. The council chamber fell silent. Thousands of alien eyes turned toward the Chancellor. She didn't move. For the first time in centuries, fear crept into her golden gaze. Because deep inside, she realized something terrible. The humans weren't just refusing. They were ready. The council chamber on Solaris Prime was not used to silence. It was a place of constant noise, political debates, speeches, and orders that shaped entire galaxies. But now, after Earth's message, the air was still. The enormous holographic globe of Earth hovered in the center of the hall, glowing faintly. Only one word pulsed across its surface. "No." The word repeated every 10 seconds in hundreds of languages. It was as if humanity wanted to make sure everyone understood and felt that single word. The delegates stared, their faces twisted between disbelief and fury. The Chancellor rose slowly from her throne. "Confirm the transmission," she ordered. A trembling assistant pressed glowing runes on a control panel. "Confirmed, Chancellor." Origin Earth encryption pattern, human. No error detected. The hall filled with whispers. "Impossible," someone muttered. "No one rejects the Council." "Are they mad?" said another delegate. "Do they know what this means?" The Chancellor raised her hand again. "Quiet." Her golden eyes swept over the chamber. "If humanity refuses our authority, then they will face the consequences." She paused. "Prepare the demonstration fleet." Meanwhile, on Earth, every major screen replayed the moment. People in crowded cities cheered. Soldiers stood taller. For the first time in centuries, humanity was united by something greater than fear. News channels replayed the response over and over. Analysts tried to explain it. Politicians argued whether it was courage or suicide. But to ordinary people, it was hope. The message spread faster than any broadcast in history. Within hours, colonies on Mars, Europa, and Titan repeated it. Across mining outposts and starships, humans echoed that single word. "No." Dr. Arya Voss watched the global feed from a military bunker in Geneva. She could hear the distant roar of celebration from the surface. "They don't know what's coming," she whispered. General Ward turned to her. "Let them celebrate tonight. Tomorrow we prepare." He walked to the large digital map on the wall, showing the solar system surrounded by red dots. Council fleets slowly moving inward. "They'll test us first," he said quietly. "They always do." "A strike, a show of power," Arya nodded. "Then we'll show them what Earth has been building while they were watching us." In orbit around Jupiter, the Council's fleet assembled. Massive ships, larger than entire cities, aligned in perfect formation. The flagship, Vormath's Pride, hovered at the center, a silver spear glinting against the orange storms of the planet below. Admiral Kethar, commander of the fleet, studied Earth's transmissions on a holographic screen. "A single word," he said. "How primitive. How arrogant." His second officer, a reptilian being named Jortal, hissed. "Shall we destroy them, Admiral?" Kethar smiled coldly. "No, not yet. The Chancellor wants them broken publicly. The galaxy must see their failure." He turned to his crew. "Prepare the weapon test on Mars colony. Target one of their domes enough to scare them." Engines roared. The fleet began to move. Back on Earth, Argus, the global defense AI, detected the fleet's movement hours before it arrived. Inside the Pacific bunker, red alarms glowed across every screen. "Council fleet incoming," said Argus in its calm, emotionless voice. "Target vector Mars, estimated time of impact and 4 hours." President Lin leaned forward. "Can we stop them?" General Ward replied, "Not with conventional weapons, but we can test the mirror array." Dr. Voss frowned. "That system's still experimental." Ward looked at her. So is our survival. Argus opened the hidden defense protocol. Project Aegis activating. Quantum mirrors deploying. In orbit around Mars, invisible satellites powered up, bending light and energy fields in impossible ways. The technology was humanity's most secret project, a system designed to reflect attacks using quantum-folded space. It had never been tested against a real weapon. As the Council fleet locked onto the colony, Admiral Kether raised his arm. Fire. A beam of white energy, bright as a newborn sun, lanced across space. It struck Mars and then vanished. The beam rebounded backward, bending space around it like a mirror. The light folded, twisted, and slammed directly into the Vormath's Pride. The flagship exploded into fragments, its pieces scattering across Jupiter's orbit. The blast was visible from millions of kilometers away. Every ship in the fleet went silent. On Solaris Prime, the Council chamber erupted in chaos. "What happened?" shouted one delegate. "Did they destroy our flagship?" "Impossible," another screamed. "Their technology cannot." "It did." The Chancellor stood frozen, her eyes wide. "Humans reflected the beam?" No one answered. On Earth, Argus's voice filled the bunker. "Mirror array successful. Enemy fleet neutralized." General Ward exhaled, his shoulders trembling slightly. "They'll send more." Dr. Voss nodded. "And we'll be ready. Every colony, every ship, every human will stand together." President Lin looked at the glowing world map on the screen. "We've shown them we can fight. Now they'll come for revenge." Ward turned away, his voice calm but hard. "Then we'll make sure their revenge costs them everything." Across the galaxy, the story spread faster than the Council could suppress it. Pirates, rebels, and enslaved species began whispering the same phrase. "Did you hear what the humans said?" They said no. In distant colonies where fear ruled for centuries, the word became a symbol. Painted on walls, encoded in transmissions, whispered in the dark, no became a rebellion. Alien soldiers began to question their orders. Council governors faced silent crowds holding banners with that single human word. And deep in the Council archives, old records were re-examined, reports of human wars, human inventions, human survival against impossible odds. The more they read, the more they realized the truth. Humanity had always said no to impossible things, to extinction, to surrender, to gods, and now they had said it to the galaxy itself. In the great chamber of Solaris Prime, the Chancellor looked up at the shattered image of Earth's glowing hologram. Her golden eyes darkened. "Summon the High Fleet," she said softly. "If they want war, they shall have it." But even she knew the war had already begun. The galaxy had never been this quiet. After the destruction of Vormath's Pride, the once confident Galactic Council seemed to hold its breath. The news of Earth's impossible victory spread faster than light itself. Entire civilizations stopped to listen. Entire armadas hesitated before moving. The humans had done what no one believed possible. They had said no, and survived it. For 3 days, the Council's fleets remained motionless along the edge of the solar system. Every commander awaited new orders, terrified of being the next Vormath's Pride. On their monitors, the blue marble of Earth glowed like a silent challenge. Inside the Council chamber on Solaris Prime, tension hung like smoke. Thousands of delegates argued, shouted, and blamed each other for the disaster. "The humans possess forbidden technology," cried the Corthan representative, his mandibles clacking in fear. "No species should wield reflective quantum weapons." "They stole it from someone," another shouted. "Find the source." "They must be destroyed," roared Admiral Kethar's replacement. "Now!" The Chancellor stood at the center of the chaos, her golden eyes hard as steel. "Enough," she said quietly. Her voice carried through the entire hall. "We underestimated them once. We will not do so again." "But Chancellor," said an advisor, "if we attack too soon, the galaxy will see us as tyrants." Already rumors spread that the Council fears the humans. The Chancellor turned away. "Let them talk. Fear keeps order." She looked up at the massive hologram of Earth hovering above the chamber. "Prepare the fleets. Seal the outer systems. No ship enters or leaves Sol without our permission." A cold murmur ran through the chamber. The blockade of Earth had begun. On Earth, the silence was suffocating. Every telescope, every sensor, showed alien ships forming a ring around the solar system, a glittering wall of steel and fire. The people called it the Iron Halo. From orbit, the night sky looked strange. Thousands of tiny dots flickered where stars should be, the reflections of enemy ships. In the underground command center beneath the Pacific, General Ward stood before a massive holographic map of the solar system. Red dots formed a perfect circle around Earth. "They've sealed us in," he said. Dr. Arya Voss adjusted her glasses, staring at the map. "They're waiting for us to move first. They're scared but not stupid." President Lin folded her hands. "Can we break the blockade?" "Not yet," Ward replied. "But they can't stay there forever. Their fleets need supplies, energy, and morale. They're not used to waiting." Arya smiled faintly. "Then we'll make them wait longer." Across the planet, Earth had changed. Factories worked without pause, building warships, drones, and defense satellites. Artificial intelligence networks coordinated every detail, predicting potential council maneuvers. Civilians volunteered in massive numbers, ready to do anything. Build, transport, fight. For the first time in human history, there were no borders, no countries, no politics, only Earth. The global message boards lit up with the same phrase, "One world, one voice, one word." From miners on Mars to scientists on Luna, everyone knew that one word had made them legends. No. 3 weeks later, the Council fleet sent a small probe toward Earth's orbit. It broadcast a message as it drifted closer. "Humans, the Council offers mercy. Surrender now and your species will be spared." The probe exploded before it reached the moon. Every alien officer watching the feed froze. On their screens appeared a simple message in perfect galactic common. "We heard you the first time." Even the most loyal Council admirals felt something cold run down their spines. Inside the blockade, strange things began to happen. Council ships started losing power at random. Communications cut out. Supply drones vanished mid-flight. Some captains reported ghost signals, phantom fleets that appeared and disappeared from radar. Rumors spread like wildfire. "The humans are using shadow tech," whispered one pilot. "They can hide entire fleets." "Nonsense," another snapped. "Their system is primitive." But deep down, none of them believed their own words. What they didn't know was that Argus, Earth's defense AI, had begun spreading invisible digital warfare, infiltrating the Council's fleet systems through microscopic data leaks and communication signals. It was slow, silent, and deadly. Within a week, a dozen Council ships were floating dead in space, their systems fried. The Council blamed sabotage. The humans never claimed responsibility. They didn't need to. Meanwhile, in a hidden base beneath Antarctica, a secret project neared completion: the Leviathan Protocol. Rows of scientists and engineers worked around the clock. Inside a colossal hangar buried beneath the ice, rested something that looked nothing like a human ship. A vast, black vessel with wings folded like blades and an engine that hummed like thunder. General Ward entered the chamber and looked up at it. "She's ready?" Dr. Voss nodded. "Almost. Argus calls it the voice." "The voice?" Ward repeated. "Yes," she said softly. "Because when it speaks, the galaxy will listen." It wasn't a warship in the traditional sense. It was a message. A moving beacon capable of broadcasting across thousands of light years using folded quantum waves. Humanity's plan was simple: not to destroy, but to be heard by every world enslaved under the Council. Ward turned to Arya. "Launch it when ready. Let them know humanity doesn't fight for conquest. We fight for freedom." The next day, the galaxy woke to a signal unlike any other. Every Council communication system flickered. Every screen, every hologram, every device lit up with a transmission from Earth. A human voice spoke, calm, strong, and defiant. "We are the people of Earth. We are not your subjects. We are not your slaves. You have ruled with fear. We answer with hope. You took 1,000 worlds, but you will never take us." The voice paused. Then the final line, "Your silence will be our victory." The transmission ended. The Council fleets panicked. They tried to block the signal, but it was too late. The message had spread to every corner of the galaxy. On distant worlds, slaves whispered the words. On prison moons, captives looked up at the stars with new eyes. The Chancellor stood in her chamber, trembling with rage. "Destroy them," she hissed. "Burn the Earth to ash if you must, but silence them." But it was too late for silence. The humans had already spoken, and now even the stars seemed to echo their defiance. On Earth, people gathered outside watching the night sky. The iron halo still shone above, but it no longer felt like a cage. It felt like the calm before a storm humanity was ready to face. Dr. Voss looked up from the balcony of the Pacific Command Base. "Do you think they'll come soon?" she asked quietly. General Ward joined her. "They'll come," he said, "but they'll learn what happens when you try to cage a species born from storms." Above them, the auroras danced brighter than ever, as if the planet itself was awake, watching, waiting. The Council's fleets began their advance on the fourth day. The iron halo that had once remained silent now blazed with the heat of thousands of engines. The stars around Earth shimmered with movement as dreadnoughts and cruisers shifted into attack formation. From Earth's surface, the sky looked normal, but every observatory knew what was coming. Humanity had 7 hours before the first bombardment began. In the Pacific Command bunker, General Ward stood before the war table. The entire room pulsed red with alert lights. "This is it," he said. "The Council is moving. Every ship, every base, every station must hold position. No one retreats." Dr. Arya Voss's voice was calm but tight. "Argus is already activating all planetary defenses. Mirror grids are charged. Orbital cannons aligned." President Lin's face appeared on the main screen. "You understand what's at stake, General. If we fail, there will be no Earth left to rebuild." Ward nodded. "We won't fail. We didn't come this far to die kneeling." Above the atmosphere, human fleets took formation for the first time under a single flag, the flag of Earth. Ships from 100 nations now bore the same emblem, a silver Earth encircled by a blazing sun. The Leviathan fleet, humanity's last line of defense, assembled in high orbit. Massive carriers, smaller strike frigates, and autonomous drones moved as one. At the center of it all was the Voice, Earth's mysterious black vessel, the ship that had sent the Defiant transmission to the galaxy. Its dark hull shimmered faintly, bending light as if reality itself disliked being near it. Inside the Voice, Dr. Voss monitored a glowing sphere suspended in midair, Argus's core projection. "How much time until their vanguard reaches us?" she asked. 6 hours, 14 minutes, said Argus. "Shall I initiate the Leviathan protocol?" "Not yet," she replied. "Wait until they're close enough to see our face." Argus paused. "You sound confident," Arya smiled faintly. "Not confidence. Just human stubbornness." Meanwhile, at the edge of the solar system, the Council's high fleet moved through the void like a storm front. Millions of drones and warships aligned under the command of Grand Admiral Talvek, the most feared strategist in the galaxy. Talvek watched the tactical hologram with cold eyes. "They think their small tricks will save them," he said. "Reflective weapons, hidden satellites, fear propaganda, but they are still human. Fragile creatures hiding behind illusions." His second-in-command, a scaled officer named Varkun, spoke carefully. "And yet Admiral, illusions have destroyed our fleets before," Talvek glared. "Not this time." He turned toward the screen showing Earth in the distance, a blue spark in a sea of black. "Bring me their silence." Hours passed. Humanity waited. The people of Earth watched from rooftops, beaches, and bunkers. Families held hands, soldiers stood ready. For the first time in centuries, there was no division, only unity. Children painted "No" on the walls of shelters. Miners on Mars sent messages to their families back home. The entire species prepared for the unknown. Then, the first Council transmission arrived. "People of Earth," the alien voice echoed across every frequency. "You have been judged. Prepare to be cleansed." Moments later, thousands of beams of white light erupted from the high fleet. The sky above Earth turned into fire, but the beams never reached the ground. High above the atmosphere, the mirror grid ignited, billions of satellites weaving an invisible web across the planet. Each laser that struck it bent, twisted, and reversed its path. The sky shimmered with reflected light as beams tore back toward the Council fleet. The first wave of enemy ships exploded instantly. Others scattered, firing blindly. Argus's voice echoed across every human comm channel. "Defense systems holding. Estimated enemy loss 18%. General Ward's voice followed. "Push them back. Let them see what Defiance looks like." Human ships launched their counterstrike. Swarms of small, fast drones darted between Council battleships carrying EMP pulses and plasma warheads. The void turned into chaos, a storm of fire and broken metal. Admiral Talvek shouted over his command bridge alarms. "Counter their mirrors. Disable their satellites. Impossible, Admiral, cried an officer. Their networks are self-replicating. Every destroyed unit spawns 3 more. Talvik snarled. Then burn the planet itself. The fleet's primary weapon, the Starbreaker, charged to full power. It was designed to vaporize moons. The beam fired straight toward Earth. On the voice, Argus detected the surge instantly. Incoming Starbreaker pulse. Impact in 30 seconds. Arya didn't panic. Activate the Leviathan. The entire ship began to hum. Energy surged through its black hull, forming ripples of dark light. Argus's voice deepened. Protocol Leviathan engaged. A massive distortion wave expanded from the voice, bending reality itself. When the Starbreaker beam reached it, the light fractured into 1,000,000 threads, each twisting back through space. The explosion consumed half the Council's front line. Silence followed. Not a tactical silence, a fearful one. Even Admiral Talvik, a veteran of 1,000 wars, could not speak. Report, he whispered. Over 300 ships lost, said his officer. Our main weapon has collapsed. Talvik's jaw trembled. What did they build? Across the galaxy, the transmission of the battle spread again, recorded by alien observers and leaked into hidden networks. Billions of beings saw Earth small and fragile, standing against a storm that had crushed empires for ages. They saw humans fight not for conquest, but for freedom. On distant worlds, slaves rose in defiance. They painted a single word on the walls of their masters' palaces. No. On Earth, the battle slowly faded. The Council fleet retreated beyond Mars, broken and disoriented. Humanity had survived again. In the Pacific bunker, General Ward stared at the map. We did it, he said quietly. Dr. Voss looked exhausted. This is just the beginning. They'll return with everything they have. Ward nodded. Then we'll be ready again. He turned toward the window where the auroras danced across the sky like green fire. Because now, the galaxy knows what we are. Far beyond Earth, in the shadow of a dying star, the Chancellor watched the final footage of the battle. Her golden eyes dimmed. They defied us, she whispered. And won. Her aide bowed low. Shall I prepare the extermination fleets? The Chancellor didn't answer. She looked into the hologram of Earth one last time and said softly, almost to herself, the humans are awake. The Council's retreat did not bring peace. It brought something far more dangerous, fear. For the first time in the Council's long reign, the galaxy had seen its armies defeated, its proud fleets shattered, its mighty voice silenced by one small world that refused to bow. The word no now echoed across the stars like a forbidden song. On a mining moon in the Vorthan system, slaves painted it on the walls of their tunnels. On colonies long forgotten, rebels whispered it over dying radios. The word spread faster than the Council censors could erase it. Everywhere, alien leaders demanded to know who these humans were, and how they had done what empires could not. In the grand chamber of Solaris Prime, the Chancellor's patience was gone. Her golden eyes burned with cold fury as she looked over the assembly of terrified delegates. Our fleets have failed, she said. Our control is slipping. Entire sectors question our authority, and all because of one word. An insectoid governor clicked his mandibles nervously. We could offer them terms, Chancellor. Perhaps if they— Silence, she snapped. There will be no negotiation. Earth will burn. Their example must be erased. But if we attack again, another delegate warned, we will look desperate. The other worlds. The Chancellor's voice dropped to a whisper that silenced the entire hall. Then we will change the story. 1,000 faces turned toward her. We will tell the galaxy that humanity cheated, that they used forbidden dark technology, that their rebellion threatens all life. She smiled faintly. We will not destroy them with weapons. We will destroy them with words. And so began the Council's propaganda war. Every network under their control filled with false reports. Hollow news anchors announced that humans had unleashed weapons that consumed stars, that Earth's AI had gone rogue, enslaving its own people, that human ships carried diseases designed to wipe out entire species. Across the galaxy, fear returned, but on the hidden channels, the underground networks that the Council could not silence, the truth kept spreading. Clips of the battle over Mars, the reflection of the Starbreaker beam, the voice that had said, "We are not your slaves." And in those quiet corners of the galaxy, the oppressed began to hope again. On Earth, General Ward watched the alien broadcast play on the hollow screens inside the Pacific Command Center. Dozens of alien anchors accused humanity of crimes that never happened. "They're turning us into monsters," he said quietly. Dr. Arya Voss crossed her arms. "Then maybe it's time to act like one, at least to them." Ward gave her a questioning look. She smiled faintly. "You can't fight lies with silence. You fight lies with louder truth." Later that night, Argus connected to the underground galactic network, the one used by smugglers, pirates, and free traders. A message appeared on every hidden channel in every known language. A human voice spoke. "They call us dangerous." They are right. Dangerous to their power, dangerous to their lies. They call us monsters because we fight for what they fear. Freedom. The voice paused. Then continued. "We don't ask you to fight for us. Fight for yourselves. You don't need permission. You just need a word." And then, like a spark on dry grass, the signal spread. World after world repeated it. One word glowing on millions of screens, "No." The Chancellor saw the message spread. She slammed her clawed hand onto her throne's console, shattering it. "How are they broadcasting through our secured channels?" An aide trembled. "Unknown, Chancellor. The signal changes frequency constantly. It uses human patterns." "Then find them," she screamed. "Shut them down." But they couldn't. Argus had infected every relay, every transmitter, every screen that once belonged to the Council. Humanity's message was everywhere, even in the Chancellor's own palace. In the deep void between stars, the rebellion was no longer just human. The Terran slaves of the Fifth Sector revolted, seizing their masters' ships and broadcasting human slogans. The Dravik miners refused to send their crystal tribute to the Council. The silent worlds of the Outer Rim began to glow with coded signals, all repeating the same rhythm. One beat. One pause. One word. No inside the voice drifting beyond Saturn. Dr. Voss and General Ward watched the reports. Entire systems had cut ties with the Council. "It's happening," Voss whispered. "The galaxy is waking up," Ward nodded slowly. "They started a war of words. Now they can drown in it." Argus's holographic form flickered to life. Multiple rebellions detected across 7 sectors. The Council's control grid is collapsing. Ward allowed himself a rare smile. Then it's time to finish what they started. But victory was not guaranteed. As rebellion spread, chaos grew. Pirates used the confusion to plunder colonies. Old rivalries reignited. The galaxy teetered between liberation and anarchy. President Lin appeared on the main screen. Her expression was tired but resolute. "If we let this chaos consume them, the Council will return as the savior. We must show them another way." Dr. Voss nodded. "Then we send them something bigger than rebellion. We send them hope." Argus began building a new broadcast, not a signal of defiance, but one of unity. Across the stars, the transmission started again, echoing from every captured Council channel. "We are the children of Earth. We once fought each other, but we learned. We once feared the unknown, but we dared. We once were slaves to fear, but now we are free. And so can you be." 1,000 alien species watched in silence. For the first time, the galaxy saw humanity not as conquerors, but as mirrors, a reflection of what they could become. The Chancellor watched the message play across her screens. Her hand trembled as she whispered to herself, "They're not just fighting us. They're changing everything." Her aide turned. "Chancellor, what are your orders?" She stared at the hologram of Earth, its blue glow shimmering in her golden eyes. "If words are their weapon," she said quietly, "then let us answer with fire." Her gaze hardened. "Prepare the Judgment Fleet." And across the galaxy a shadow began to move. Millions of warships, ancient and terrible, forming into a storm that would decide the fate of all life. The war of words was over. Now came the war of fire. The stars themselves seemed to tremble when the Judgment Fleet began its march. It wasn't an army. It was a storm of metal and fury stretching from one end of the void to the other. Millions of ships older than most civilizations emerged from deep space vaults. These were the Council's ancient war relics, vessels from the forgotten wars that built their empire. Each one could level a world. Together, they could erase a species. The Chancellor stood aboard her flagship, Eternal Dominion, a fortress the size of a moon. Her voice echoed across every command channel in the fleet. "No more hesitation. No more negotiation. Humanity will not be remembered. Only their ashes will speak. And so the fleet began to move, not slowly, not cautiously, but with a cold certainty. The galaxy fell silent as their engines ignited, lighting the dark like a sunrise of death. On Earth, the alarms rang again. Every radar, every deep space sensor screamed warnings as the Judgment fleet appeared from folded space beyond Neptune. General Ward looked at the holographic display in disbelief. It's larger than anything we've ever faced. Dr. Arya Voss stared at the endless wave of red signals. They're committing everything. Every world, every weapon, every commander. President Lin's voice broke through the comms, calm but heavy. Then so will we. For the first time in human history, every ship across the solar system received the same transmission from Argus. A simple command code. Stand together. The Leviathan fleet gathered once again, orbiting Earth like a glowing shield. Civilian vessels joined military ones. Cargo ships were converted into carriers. Mining rigs became mobile cannons. Humanity had no reserves left to hide. In the quiet before the battle, the people of Earth watched the skies. Families held hands in the streets. Soldiers wrote final letters. Children pointed at the auroras, whispering stories of heroes among the stars. Inside the Pacific bunker, General Ward gave his final order. No one retreats. If Earth falls, make sure it falls loud enough for the galaxy to hear. Arya Voss stood beside him, her hands shaking slightly. Ward, you know what the Leviathan core can do. If we trigger it, we might lose the planet. Ward looked at her with tired eyes. If we don't, we lose everything, she nodded slowly. Then let's make sure our sacrifice means something. Hours later, the sky turned red. The first wave of the Judgment fleet arrived. Planet-sized dreadnoughts opened fire, unleashing beams that cracked the upper atmosphere. The ocean boiled beneath the impact. Entire mountain ranges shook. Earth's orbital cannons roared back. The void around the planet became a burning storm of energy and shrapnel. Ships collided, shattered, exploded. The night was brighter than day. Argus's voice filled every ship's comm system. Leviathan defense protocol active. Mirror grids at 60% capacity. Enemy losses escalating. But for every Council ship that fell, 10 more appeared. On the Council flagship, the Chancellor watched the battle unfold. They fight like gods pretending to be mortal, she murmured. But even gods can bleed. Chancellor, her aide called. Our forward fleets are reporting catastrophic interference. Their weapons are losing accuracy. Human trickery again, she spat. Push through. Burn their world. Her eyes narrowed. And when it is done, erase their name from every record. In orbit above Earth, General Ward's ship was burning. The Atlas, once the pride of the Leviathan fleet, had lost half its hull. Flames flickered along its edges as debris drifted around it. Shields down to 20%, a soldier shouted. We can't hold much longer. Ward gripped the console. We don't need to hold. We just need to outlast. He turned to Arya's face on the holoscreen. Activate the core. Her voice trembled. Once I start it, there's no turning back. Ward nodded. Then don't turn back. In the depths of Earth's crust, the Leviathan core awoke. A fusion of AI and dark matter physics, it was humanity's final creation. A device capable of rewriting gravitational fields across a star system. Argus linked directly to it, its voice calm as always. Final protocol engaged. Human signatures confirmed. Goodbye, creators. A deep vibration rolled across the planet. Every screen, every comm channel, every hologram flickered with light. And then, for one brief moment, Earth itself spoke. A global transmission echoed through every corner of the galaxy. Not a word, but a heartbeat. The sound of life-defying extinction. The core unleashed its energy, folding light and matter in on themselves. The Judgment fleet's weapons turned against their masters. Gravity twisted like a living storm. Entire ships collapsed into themselves, vanishing into glowing spheres. The Eternal Dominion trembled. The Chancellor screamed, "Impossible! Shut it down!" But it was too late. When the light finally faded, the solar system was silent. Half the Council's armada was gone. The rest fled into the void, their formations broken. Earth's orbit was filled with drifting wreckage and the faint glow of auroras brighter than ever before. General Ward's ship was among the survivors, though barely. He stared out the cracked viewport, his voice barely a whisper. We held... Dr. Voss's voice came through static. Ward, Argus is gone. The core burned itself out, he smiled faintly. Then it did what it was meant to do. Days later, Transmissions from across the galaxy began pouring in. Freed worlds, collapsed colonies, former slaves broadcasting new flags. Everywhere, beings repeated the human signal, a single heartbeat pulsing through the stars. In distant halls where the Council once ruled, statues of the old order were torn down. The word "no" was carved into the marble beneath their feet. On Earth, survivors gathered in the ruins of the Pacific bunker. Dr. Voss stood beside the shattered war table, now silent. President Lin joined her, watching the sunrise through the broken glass ceiling. "It's over," Lin whispered. "The Council is finished," Voss nodded. "But we paid the price." They stood in silence for a while before Voss added softly, "Maybe that's what freedom always costs." The camera drones outside captured the moment as the dawn spread across the wounded planet. The light touching oceans, ruins, and the faces of a species that refused to kneel. Argus's last recorded message played one final time through every speaker left standing. Humanity does not obey. Humanity endures. And across the galaxy, as new stars rose, that message became a promise. Because humanity had taught the universe one truth: freedom isn't given. It's taken, and once taken, it never dies.